Hey, Tony. So here is how I'm gonna do this.
I'll let you know which
Brian, can I talk to you for a minute?
Tony, can we dig
Yeah.
out of here, please?
I don't think we can.
What
Lydia,
charges
you
are
want-
dig out of here?
I could talk to you for a minute, so we can correlate it.
Thank you.
Please, stop digging. You're digging on the wall, you dig on the wall.
I can't. I'm still in cuffs.
So cuffed you right on.
Okay, so I do want to say one thing. The reason why I called out over radio that we need to not be a little cautious here is I observed us going onto Garage Q in the middle of the shootout, right? I don't think we should do that ever. Now, let me explain how that should have went down.
Brian, before we have this discussion, can we just get him sent off and processed?
Let's do that. Yeah.
So they're gonna we have it on good authority. This is gang related, right?
Yeah, there's an active war currently between the Southside Ballers and the Lean Boys.
Okay, so I guess we're doing gang related shooting and any possession charges, unless anyone has any objections to that.
Yeah, I mean, gang-related shooting. Would we then put ADW, or is gang-related shooting surpasses that? Like, is it an add-on charge, or would it be standard?
ADW?
ADW, yeah.
When we
What's
do
an ADW?
Oh, so with the deadly weapon.
Yeah.
No,
No,
it just sort of
gang-related.
encapsulates everything.
Yeah. Gang and possession.
Because they shot civilians as well. That's kind of where I'm going with the assault with a deadly weapon angle. Because obviously they were shooting at each other, but civilians got caught in the crossfire. So I figured that would be.
Yeah, I understand that, but at the same time, it's better just to have a plate charge for everyone in this case.
Yes, sir.
Oxy marijuana. I'm not gonna give him for the crack because he doesn't have that much.
So yeah, I followed the call from Snow there when he said, you know, we're gonna deal with this because it's not in the south side.
It doesn't matter. So it's not whether we should be aggressive, it's how we went about that, right? So consider this: the garage queue at that particular point in time. Think of it like this. Garage Q was still hot. There was individuals shooting each other. We shouldn't be going into that like circle of fire. We should be containing it from the outside and pushing in. And the moment what I observed, and I don't want to name names or anything along those lines.
It was me. I was on there.
We should not have pushed all the way in because all of a sudden we are effectively we're putting ourselves in danger, and we're effectively, for lack of a better word, I don't want to use that word. We need to make sure we're not third partying.
I agree with Brian's sentiment. That being said, this has, you know, the reason we moved in is because it's outside the courthouse. Civilians getting shot, you know. If it's continuous,
yeah, but we shouldn't be going in the middle of two individuals,
definitely
right?
Not.
Go from the
Definitely not.
outskirts, tell them to fucking move,
sentiment.
and if they don't put their weapon down and move, then we dump their ass.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know what I mean?
I'm gonna get my guys sent off, and we can discuss this more.
Yeah, because I want to talk to you.
Hold on, Vil, come back. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
Sorry,
sir. I'm
did
just
you need
following
me,
the
or-
instructions of my superior. That's all. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
so do you? I'm sorry, Vil. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm not.
I understand what you're saying, Senior Officer Knight, but Trooper, I followed the instructions of Trooper Snow.
Okay,
sir.
did Snow tell you to run into the middle of the garage queue?
No, sir.
This is why some office cadets aren't ready. No way.
All right, Nick, can
Yeah, like in
I
like a
talk to you over
tooth
here?
picky type
Yeah.
of way, like you're kind of
What?
hot. I'll talk to you later, Tessa. It was great seeing you, honestly.
McLean, I only need to speak tonight. I can't have you
Oh,
part of
night.
this.
Oh, okay.
Wait, Night, come here.
Yeah.
Hazing? I'm having I'm going to be conducting a conversation, or at least mediating a conversation between you and Vale, so you guys can speak to each other. Just want to let you know
Absolutely.
what's about to happen, so you don't feel like this is an ambush.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, Failey, are you getting the sandwiches?
Yeah.
Remember, no laxatives.
Thank you. You are taking out your phone and putting it away a lot for me. Can you point? Thank you. Get nice and tight so we can whisper to each other.
Okay, is this close?
Okay. So, I understand. I think this was the situation at Garage Q, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think I had a headache in the middle of it. And from the outside looking in, everything that I pieced together, it sounds like Snow gave orders. Columbo also gave orders as to what was supposed to be happening there. So there was a miscommunication between the two, and depending on which person you heard over the radio, people reacted appropriately. In the situation, as far as processing suspects, Columbo came in. You and Vale were engaged in a conversation with what happened, and you were trying to communicate to her about what had happened and that it wasn't
Dan and Vale, yes.
correct. Yeah, Dan and Vale. And Columbo said that our priority was to process the suspects, and that Columbo is correct. Kind of like the conversation I had prior, that if you're going to have a conversation with someone and give any kind of constructive criticism, it needs to not be in front of other people, especially suspects or people of the public.
Absolutely.
And when we have suspects down in the holding cells, they are our priority. Oh my god, I can't speak. So, whatever continued conversation that you need to be having with Vale, then it just needs to stop and wait until those suspects are gone.
So this conversation took place in the office away from the suspects after processing had taken place, and that engagement happened after that conversation had concluded. That conversation was with Vale and Dan collectively, and was
And
done
the
in
suspects
private.
were already gone?
No.
No.
Okay, so that's the priority, is that you guys need to finish your processing. Once you guys figure out the blanketed charges, go out, engage with the suspects that we have in the cells, and get them out of our cells and into the hands of DOC. Then circle back and continue the conversation that you had previously. Do you understand the priority in that?
Real quick, 2 mics.
Yes.
Okay, sweet. So,
what?
I want you guys to be able to communicate each other openly about how you guys are speaking to one another.
Was there an impression that we needed to conclude this processing before having that conversation? When the conversation was initiated by someone other than myself?
So the priority when people are down in our cells isn't for us to go and have conversations where we're criticizing each other and having conversations of constructive criticism. That's something that happens after we process and handle suspects.
What the fuck?
So Columbo asked us to go into the office to discuss unified charges.
The individuals started loading up. They've been
You guys sorted out charges, and then when you guys are done sorting out charges, you guys process your suspects, and then if you guys have any kind of debriefing or any kind of critiques that you guys want to give each other, that's when you do it after the suspects are out of our cell.
I'm sorry, Vale. Did you feel as though you did not want to have that conversation then and there because you wanted to process?
Driver's going to be Vladimir Ivanov, who also hit the
So
back here.
Columbo
He's gonna
called us in
take
to
a
discuss
small
unified
jump to Del
charges.
Perro
Right.
freeway.
We discussed unified charges,
Now
and then
eastbound
you
Del
began
Perro.
telling me that I was wrong.
I never
Passing under
pointed at
Elgin
you.
U-turn.
In fact, that conversation started with, I'm not going
now
to name
westbound Del
names.
Perro.
I'm making a general observation as to what went wrong, and I want you to understand why it was done inappropriately.
Taking the Del Perro
When
exit
two
towards
officers
Elton,
walk
opposite
into the
travel.
center of a gunfight between two gangs, that is going to escalate into something bigger than what we're trying to do, which is containment. Now, here's what it comes down to. There's a lot of great qualities about you, Vil. However, in that moment when I'm trying to explain something and I'm looking for a bit of feedback that you understand what is being explained, the last thing you're going to do is walk away and show any level of passive aggressiveness.
So,
And that's what took place.
Knight, I said, yes, I understand. As I've said to Sergeant Snow here, I said, yes, I understand. Myself and Dan, we went in there a bit hard, but the way that you spoke to me there was not simple feedback, Knight. It has made me feel terrible. The way that Under Sheriff Colombo told us to leave and continue processing, which is the moment that I walked away, and then you raised your voice and told me to come back, made me feel terrible, because then I'm stuck in between a rock and a hard place between the undersheriff and a senior officer both ordering me to do conflicting things. And then it was very clearly directed at me, Knight. And
It wasn't
I don't
directed
know.
at you, Vil.
Right, but you
It was
told
directed
me.
at you after you walked away with a very odd response
The undersheriff told us to stop having the conversation, Knight, so I left.
at the start
I
of the
said,
conversation, yes. And then it was re-engaged.
By yourself when you ordered me to come back against the orders of the undersheriff, yes, Knight. Ultimately,
Okay, if that was the case, when Columbo was standing there, why did he not intervene? Why is it that Dan understood and said, yes, I get it, and
I
then
did.
walked off?
I did say that. I said exactly that, in fact. I said, yes, I understand, Senior Officer Knight, were my exact words. And Under Sheriff Colombo told us to stop having the conversation and to return to processing as we had done what he called us in there to do, which was discuss unified charges. So I began walking towards my 95 to continue processing him. Again, after being ordered by Under Sheriff Colombo to do that, then
Vil,
you told me to come back.
Is your way of acknowledging what you are... Listen, Vil, I went into that conversation not to point blame at you. I think that was very obvious. And I didn't even use names to begin with. The response that you received was a side effect of the way you responded. There was a very clear attitude in your response.
If you perceive that, Senior Officer Knight, then I don't know what
I'm
to
not
tell
the only
you,
one who perceived
because
it,
I
Vil.
that was not okay. I did not mean to do that, Senior Officer Knight. So when I'm ordered to do something by the undersheriff and I carry out that order immediately, and then I'm belittled for doing so,
Belittled in what way?
you ordered me to come back after
Your response, which was filled with passive aggressiveness and a lot of attitude.
that is not the case, Senior Officer Knight.
Yeah.
Continue off-road southbound parallel to Dutch London Street.
Understand that when I'm talking to cadets,
Off-road
What?
westbound parallel to Dutch London.
my job is to assist you, ensure you understand what's being said, and to have a conversation. However, if the feedback that's being received is that learning
Pass on left if you
or
want.
feedback is not desired, I'm going to take that the wrong way each and every time.
That's not what happened
And
at
if that's
all,
not the
Senior
intention-
Officer Knight. Well, that is not the intention, because that's
All
not
right,
what
so
happened, Senior Officer
here's where
Knight.
I'm gonna mediate. So the thing that's happening right now is whether or not it was either of your guys' intentions. You guys are both trying to communicate the feelings that you guys can actually be accountable for, such as when you talk to me in this way, when you use this tone, when you do these things, I feel this. And that's what you guys are communicating. So if he says when you turn around and walk away, or you change in your tone, or you change the pattern of how you're communicating with me, and it's a complete different way of how you're speaking to me previously, it makes me feel like you are disrespecting me. It makes me feel like you don't care. You feel like I can't have this conversation with you and that you could honestly give two shits about what's going on. And it's going back and forth. But when things change for both of it's you guys are very perceptive people. You guys can pick up on when people start talking differently to each other. We all know each other's mannerisms.
Ryan's not
Pretty
going to go
fucking
hard
well. And
because
so when
ultimately
we start
he's here to
talking in
teach these
attitude
guys.
or having some kind of problem,
He doesn't need
we
to be
pick
right.
up on that very quickly. And again, at the end of the day, you can only be accountable for your own feelings. So, Vale telling you, Knight, that when you call her back, when she's trying to do her best, or not her best, but when she is told to go do a thing and you call her back, and it's coming from a position of where it's already, the context is that things are being led up so that she's going to be reprimanded, then that's going to make her feel like you're just trying to throw her under the bus and you just really want to dog on her.
Why
And the
would I
same
want
thing with
to?
Vale.
There's no evidence of that. I've been helping out Vale from.
It's not about evidence. We're talking about how she feels, which you are not the master of how she feels. That's what she's communicating to you. She's telling you that when you do that, this is how she feels. In the same context, when she
Wait, what?
says comments or turns around or gets very short with you, it makes it feel like she's not respecting you. Is that correct?
Did you positively identify?
Let's roll this back. At what point? Can you say that one more time?
I'm mediating right now to explain that you guys are just trying to share each other with each other, that the way you guys speak to each other, it makes you guys feel a certain type of way. It's that you guys are just communicating about how the situation made you guys feel.
I'm trying to process this. I don't know how to process this right now.
So here's the thing I'm going to say at the top. One, Columbo's decision for you guys to continue what you guys are doing, he trumps all things.
Yeah,
you guys
no,
just need to
absolutely.
continue going back what you're doing. Knight, if you wanted to continue your conversation, you need to tell Vale, once we're done processing, we need to have a chat. We need to clear the air with one another and sort out what's going on.
Was there a sense that you were being reprimanded? What was there? I'm trying to understand exactly here. At what stage did you feel like you were being reprimanded when, by all context of the conversation, etc.? What? All context of the conversation, it was a dialogue between me and cadets after observing what I saw as a very, inappropriate behavior. And I quite frankly, I wasn't even referring to you, Vale. I saw Dan. I don't even know where you were. The reason I spoke to two of you is because I saw you at the end there. So I spoke to you as a group so as not to point any fingers at anyone specifically. The only reason that I asked you to come back is due to the tone and the way that you didn't even acknowledge it. It was, your response was, I was listening to Officer Snow, and then you walked off. Like, in what world is that going to be perceived by anyone as you acknowledging what is being said?
So, I had acknowledged what you said. I had listened to the order given by Under Sheriff Colombo, which was to leave the conversation and return to my...
When was that statement made?
Colombo literally told us, well, yourself more so, to stop talking about it until after processing.
At what point was that said?
When you were talking the first time, before I walked away.
The first time, right.
The reason that I walked away, Senior Officer Knight, is because I was told to walk away by the undersheriff. Like, we were all, collectively, everyone that was there, was told to stop the conversation and leave and go to our 95s. And I said, yes, okay. And I went to my 95, and then you called me back. So I'm either disobeying the order of you, which is going to upset you, or I'm disobeying the order of the undersheriff and returning. So in that context, and when you solely call me back, of course it feels like you're just going after me.
You're the only one who walked away. Bill.
Because we were told to walk away, Senior Officer Knight.
Over 5 minutes previously.
No, this is within the same minute, Senior Officer Knight. This is literally within the same minute. Under Sheriff Colombo said, "Go back to your 95s. I will have this conversation once we're done processing," and I walked.
So you felt conflicted.
That was the same moment. He said to go to my 95, all of us to our 95s. I started going, and then you called me back. Like you raised your voice and went at me. Like I don't know how else I'm supposed to perceive that other than you trying to go for me. Do you see what I mean?
Why would I go for you, Vil, when I've been very helpful, I think, for God knows how long, trying to assist you in whatever it is you do. At what point, what indication would you have that I would go after you?
That's conversation, Senior Officer Knight.
Well, that's what she's saying, Knight, is that when you raise your voice at her and you're going directly at her, that's a direct correlation as to why she thinks and feels that you're going after her.
Okay, so is your expectation that anyone that is attempting to assist you in becoming an officer would be going at you if they're attempting to correct behavior?
My expectation is that when the undersheriff is giving an order, everyone in that room who is below the rank of undersheriff carries out that order rather than going at each other, Senior Officer Knight.
There's no going at each other, Vil.
Right, but you...
There's me providing you feedback, which is what that is.
Right, but Senior... The undersheriff told you to stop doing that, and he told me to stop doing that. He told us to stop having that conversation, and then you called me back to continue that conversation. That feels very much pointed at me, Senior Officer Knight.
Do we have any other units? 650. 608. 685. Yeah,
I don't think that's what he said. First and foremost.
He said we'll have this conversation after processing, and then sent us out. No. And then I started walking, and then you called me back.
Let's just be on the outskirts.
Let's go with this, Vil. If that's how you felt, I understand. But I can tell you that my intention was simply to correct behavior, and that's all it was. If you felt you were targeted, it was targeted in what I perceived as you effectively not giving a shit and walking away. It sounded very passive-aggressive, and it sounded like you didn't hear a word I said. If you had simply done exactly as Dan had said and show that you understood what was stated to you, and not...
I did.
Not the... I perceived it a totally different way.
If
that was your intention, that's fine. And I don't think there's any reason to make this a bigger deal than it was, which I feel it's turning into.
I heard and I acknowledged everything.
It's not a bigger deal at all. We're just having a conversation. And the main thing here is how you guys are perceiving each other's communication.
Yeah.
I heard and I understood exactly what you said. Exactly the same as I heard what Sergeant Snow said when he said that we'd moved in perhaps a bit too quickly. You know, we moved into that situation too quickly, myself and Dan did. I absolutely understand that. I know better than most. You can end up in a three-sided ambush in the blink of an eye in a situation like that. We have a Sultan driving around. We don't know where it is. There was an active 80. Could have gone. Could have come back. Could have shot us in the back. There were mistakes made by myself and Dan.
Oh my God, dude! What is this right now?
So, Senior Officer Knight, I understand that implicitly and completely, and I acknowledge that you said that. And then when the undersheriff told us to stop having that conversation, and I carry out his order and go to the cell, begin moving to the cells to process the 95 that I am being ordered to process by the undersheriff, and then you ordered me.
You felt conflicted. I understand.
Please don't tell me how I felt. You ordered me to come back, contravening an order of the undersheriff, and then raised your voice at me. Like, when I've already acknowledged what you've said and I understand it, and then the undersheriff tells us to stop having the conversation, and then you order me back into the conversation. Do you see how difficult of a position that puts me in? It feels like I can't do anything right. If I acknowledge it, I'm doing something wrong. If I don't acknowledge it, I'm doing something wrong. If I carry out the orders of the undersheriff rather than the orders of you, I'm doing something wrong. If I listen to you, I'm doing something wrong. Do you see what I mean? Do you see where I'm coming from?
Copper, can I talk to you for a sec?
Yep.
Just very briefly. Oh, sorry.
What the fuck? I don't know how to respond to this. This is why we need some hard ass cops on. They've been coddled too long that the perception of what took place during that conversation is apparently too brutal. I they need to start running laps. They need to start running laps, bruh. Like, they need to start running laps.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
So, procedurally, at the end of the day, I'm sure you guys have it very clear. If Colombo says, hey, we're just going to process and then we're going to go do this other thing, that's what we're going to do. All the other conversation, all the other extenuating circumstances that were about of that situation, that can be handled after the fact. The other part of this, since we all understand that, is the first thing, which is following the processing and the orders of Colombo, which also leads into the second thing, which is the chain of command. Colombo is giving orders you guys need to follow. That doesn't mean because you're in a higher position than Vale that you can trump then Colombo's orders to have her have a conversation with you.
No, dude, she's
That
not
can
gonna
happen
learn
afterwards.
anything with this response, bruh.
The third thing here is if it's not
They'll play
evident
this
enough,
well,
there is a
but
serious
unfortunately,
communication
this
issue
isn't a
between the two
W
of
and
you.
L problem.
There is a nature in the way that you guys communicate and explain and interpret what one another are trying to say, and it's a complete disconnect. From speaking to both of you guys privately, you guys both like to assume each other's thoughts and how each other are feeling, and you guys cannot do that. That is the first step to complete catastrophe, and you guys are never going to be able to work anything out. So, if there is a situation that's like this, again, you guys have to pull each other aside privately, not in front of other people, and have those kind of conversations.
Sounds good.
Yes, Sarge.
Getting short and curt and just walking off away from each other, that's completely disrespectful. There is a manner of doing things, and if you are going to turn around and ignore someone when they're trying to have a conversation with you or say something to you, just because a higher ranking officer told you to go back to what you're doing, you can easily say, Knight, I'm going to finish the processing, and then you and I can continue the conversation that we're having. At Knight, if she is going to go do what she's being told by Colombo, you can tell her, when we're done processing, we're going to continue the conversation that we had.
Absolutely. Like I said, Colombo either did not state that. Someone else continued this conversation that we had down there. Or alternatively, Vale heard it and I did not hear it, which would start to make a bit more sense. But that is not how it went.
with all due respect, Senior Officer Knight, that is
Yeah.
exactly how it went. He told us to stop having the conversation.
Like I said, you
We
may
all
have
stopped and
heard it,
walked.
Bill.
Okay. So either someone was whispering or wasn't shouting or something was going on. Someone didn't hear another thing. It's unfortunate. It fucking happens. It sucks. I mean, obviously
I'm pretty sure
there's
Columbo
something
didn't say
between you
anything.
guys.
I
need
also
you
know
guys to
I didn't
practice
start the
to best of your
conversation
ability.
afterwards.
Try giving each other the benefit of the doubt. Because whatever it is that you guys are currently trying with each other is not working. So let's try something different. Whereas if something is happening, shit seems a little weird. Why is she acting like that? Why is he saying this? Why are people's voices being raised? Let's practice giving this person the benefit of the doubt. Hey, did you just say, like, what did you just say? I didn't hear what you said. I'm not understanding what's going on. I thought we were doing this. Just communicate.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Commander and High Command have been sent and made aware of situations where cadets have talked back to higher ups.
Mhm.
I just want to clarify. Well, it's just, I'm just going to reaffirm the chain of command here. Talking back to higher ups or whatever, be it being shitty, etc., etc. With me, it will land you a suspension and telling you to go 42. With Copper, I'd imagine the same.
Did you see a fourth one?
I just wanted to say that it's something that's been brought to command's attention recently. It's been pretty rampant. That needs to stop. And I'm not aiming that at anyone in particular, but that's been happening through lots of different people.
Guess that's no.
I'll give you a situation. So the other day, I was in a hostage situation on top of Alta Street, and I shouted at
How did
Espinosa on the
this
radio.
turn into
He didn't
gaslighting
like how I
and
handled it.
deflection?
So what he did was he spoke
is
to
what I'm trying to
Carson, his
understand.
FTO, who then 25'd with me with Espinosa and spoke on his behalf and made me aware that Espinosa wasn't really happy with what happened there, and that he thought that it isn't something that I do normally and shouldn't really be something that I do. Which I accepted. It's feedback, regardless of whether it's from a lower rank or not. It was valid feedback. Sometimes you just have to sit and listen and understand you've done something wrong, even if you feel like you haven't. You still need to listen and try and understand. And you have to accept when you're wrong as well. That's very, very important. Acknowledging when you're wrong and when you made a mistake. Because if you don't do that, you're never going to learn from it.
Absolutely, Saj.
But yeah, as I said, talking back to higher ups, getting shitty with sergeants, FTOs, senior officers. See you fucking later.
Hey, how's it going? Good. Welcome to
All right, Popper, are you happy?
No, I'm never happy.
No.
So it,
Okay. All right. You guys are good to go back out on patrol. If you have any further questions or problems or anything you want to speak to us about,
are you
obviously you know where we are. You can speak to us about anything anytime.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me talk to you too, real quick.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I'm a dispatch duckling.
Oh, you good?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just weighing up whether to go 42 or not.
I don't think you should go 42. Just get out there and carry on policing.
You're just starting to train on dispatch, are you?
I don't know whether I can operate effectively when I'm upset.
I haven't really even talked on
Hmm.
the radio yet. I'm waiting for
Yeah, I understand.
Oh, well, I
Yeah.
look forward to speaking with you.
Nick, did you just want to have a conversation with Snow, or do you want me here?
No, you can be here.
Okay.
Y'all just got manipulated. Quite frankly, that
Oh.
conversation was in no means in any way, and I recommend you talk to Dan, who was there.
All right,
We
I
need
just want to make
Columbo
sure I
too.
understand. Are you
Well,
critiquing my mediation?
No, 100% not. However, if I can be open and honest here, that was a very simple conversation. I recommend you, look, I understand she may have had her feelings hurt, but by no measure of anything I have received from other officers. This was so mild. And I'm pretty speechless. Let me put it that way. I guess my question becomes, how do you show any form of verbal disciplinary response to what you are perceiving as passive aggressiveness? I mean, it's possible I don't have it in me, but I don't think that's necessarily the case. I'm not sure. If you want my honest opinion, this is why we need to start running laps and shit, because that was such a mild response I gave to both Dan and her, that if that's going to make someone crack, I don't know what kind of future disciplinary action, what that's going to result in. It's hard to talk about this since I was there, Vale was there. We're on two opposite sides of it. So the painting and an attempt to, I can understand, and I appreciate the mediation, Copper. I really do. And I know there's definitely take back for me as to how I go about approaching the cadets, but I'd be lying if I were to say that given the circumstances, if I were to do something any less than this, I'd pretty much just be reassuring them that what they're doing is okay. I don't know. Does that make sense, what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, but both of you guys, neither of what you guys did was okay. I mean, even how the perception or whatever was going on, something was escalating to the point where Columbo had to remind you guys that you guys need to go back to processing.
That's not what happened, ma'am. Columbo,
okay.
No, Columbo came in the beginning and he heard the conversation and he said, hey, processing first.
Yes, that's what I'm, that's
and
what
100%,
I'm talking about.
And we processed. And then someone else brought up the conversation, so we decided to have it then.
Was
Columbo
processing
did
done?
not intervene. He
Was
did not.
Processing
No, he
done?
said, let's talk about the processing. And that's exactly what we were going to do. Then the conversation was brought back up. And only then did it conclude. And Columbo was there. He could have stopped it at any point. The whole what Columbo said and did, that's just a deflection of what actually took place.
Okay. Well, thankfully, Snow and I are capable of having our own thoughts and opinions of what you have said and thoughts and opinions about what Vale has said and conversations that we've also had with Columbo. So,
right. No, absolutely.
I mean, we haven't exactly been sharing that with any of you guys and our own perceived understanding of what's going on. I mean, it goes far beyond what we're being fed by you and what we're being fed by Vale or being fed by Dan or anybody.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So my question comes back. What is your recommendation in terms of going about
gave
this?
it. I told you guys, I told both of you guys that you guys need to practice. Just try giving each other the benefit of the doubt. Do you know what that means? I don't mean to ask that like in a condescending, like you
absolutely.
can't fucking use your brain or anything like that. Because, I mean, I have my own issues, such as you getting the respect that you deserve.
I don't want respect, ma'am.
Okay, all right.
I want the end goal is for us as a P to get better.
Whether or not you want respect. I'm telling you what I want. And as a senior officer, you need to have respect, and people need to respect you. Okay?
Yeah.
Whether or not you want that, it comes with the territory of where you are. And if there's other people that are ranked below you, they need to be listening to you. Just like the same thing, if Snow and I decide something, I need you guys to also listen to the both of us. So, like, it kind of all goes around. But as far as...
Isn't that part of the problem, though, Copper?
What, respecting each other?
No, yeah, well, and that's what it is, right? Like, so, Copper, for example, if you told me to go and do something, right? And I'm like, okay. You know what I mean? Like that's
Yes,
not
that's why
respect.
that's what I'm
right?
talking about. That's why I just got done saying that I have an interest in making sure that you get the respect, whether or not you don't or do want respect. I mean, it seems like you want to, because not only did you just give me an example of how you're treated with disrespect,
Yeah.
but all of your frustrations all circle back to the fact that you're not getting the respect that you deserve.
Right.
One individual dressed in some form of looks to be a kind of like a Gucci jumpsuit. Another individual dressed in all black with a
Okay.
black face mask.
Yeah.
Present.
So, I mean, I'm on the same page as you, you know?
Registered,
Right.
unable to identify
So,
at this time.
if whatever is going on, whatever tactic where you guys, however tactic that you guys have formulated and has basically whatever history that you guys have had up to this point has basically dissolved into the way you guys are treating each other, and you guys to at least try something new, because what's currently happening is
There's no pattern though, Copper, and I think that's the source of my
yes, there
confusion.
is a pattern, because this is not the first time you have brought her up to us.
What?
The conversation. This is not the first time you have spoken to both Snow and I about her.
I
This
think
is literally-
I think when I spoke to Snow, it was very generalized.
Okay, I was there too.
Did I mention Vale specifically?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, we did talk about Vale.
Did it seem like I was focused on her more than the other cadets?
Yes. Yes.
Mm.
Her specifically bringing up her attitude. But here's the thing: is that it's not. I'm not. This is not.
I
right and
remember,
wrong.
but
You have communicated that there's
Yeah, no, I
frustrations
remember.
and that there's problems in the past, and you also gave us examples.
Yeah.
So I mean that again, you know, your concerns, they're very valid, and I'm not here to break them down. What I'm asking of you is to let's try something different, because whatever is currently happening right now isn't working.
Once again, clarification, because I want to make sure my the opinions I shared previously were perceived correctly, at least the way that I intended them to. During that conversation, did it seem like it was Vale that was primarily the issue?
No.
Or that it was
your
across the
main-
board? Okay.
Your main
that's what
issue
I
was
wanna make
everybody
sure.
across the board,
Yeah.
but she was identified at least 2 separate times in this conversation. But they were unique frustrations, but they all came back to the fact that there is a lack of respect. And it was lack of respect and not listening.
Yeah.
Specifically to guidance from not you, but from a command member speaking to her.
Was it clear that other cadets also have this issue?
Yes, like I said, your main issue was cadets across the board.
The reason
and our
I'm asking-
concern of moving these people forward from even from to regular cadet to solo, but also people that have done their final eval.
Yep. We're discussing all of them right now. Nobody's been left out.
The reason I'm asking these questions is I want to make sure that the information that was provided was concrete. So, based on this conversation, it started to sound like I was giving indicators that Vale is solely the problem, or some level of focus for myself. That said, I do disagree with you, ma'am, that there's a patterned issue here, because we're talking about a 2-week gap between that conversation. Not 2 weeks. It's been like, what, week and a half since that last conversation?
Okay, I'm
And this
not sure
incident.
what there is there.
Yeah.
What I presented to you isn't something that's up to be. There's not a whether or not you do or don't agree. I'm telling you from the multiple conversations that I've heard and had with you, this person's name has been brought up enough that it does seem like a pattern.
Fucking drive my
It's not a
fucking
thing where
pencil in here.
I also said I don't think that you're specifically just targeting her. You had just brought up her name before, but it
Right.
seems like now that there's like a continued one-on-one issue between the two of you guys. Let's just try something different. Is there something colossally wrong with just trying something different? Because currently whatever is happening is not working.
Well, to try something different, understanding what is wrong is required, right?
Yes, and what is wrong is you guys have a communication problem. You guys perceive each other trying to jump down each other's throats. You guys have separately, this day, have had conversations with me where you guys have assumed each other's thoughts and feelings, which is not okay. It's not ever, you guys are not giving each other the benefit of the doubt. So we're going to try the thing that we're not trying, which is giving each other the benefit of the doubt.
At what point, ma'am, at what point do I need to consider her feelings when it's the action that matters?
It's benefit of the doubt. Do you understand when you're sitting there and telling me what she thinks and feels? You can't do that. You're not, in the 34 years I've existed on this planet, there is not a single person that could tell me how I think and feel better than myself. And for you to come into the room or go have conversations with other people and telling them how I think and feel, you're absolutely in the wrong. And both of you guys have done that to each other.
What was the...
So instead of doing that, let's give
her?
each other the benefit of the doubt and try and work towards something different, because what's currently happening is not working. McLean, get out of here.
Oh, sorry.
What feelings did I... What did I bring up? I'm once again, I'm asking because it was such a... side, like it wasn't even the focus of what I was focused on in that conversation, that I don't even remember me.
I'm coming from what I have experienced today so far in the private conversation that I've had with Vale, and the private conversation I had with you in the car with McLean and Snow. Give me a second. That when the two of you guys have spoken about each other, you guys talk about each other's thoughts and feelings as if you guys knew what each other were intending to do.
I am so like in a...
And you were basing that into fact.
What was it that was said specifically? I'm trying to identify what was done so I can correct it.
It's that. I'm telling you exactly what needs to be corrected. You guys cannot assume each other's thoughts and feelings. And you
At
guys
what point
need to
did
be
I
able to
assume her
communicate each
thought
other.
and feeling?
You said, I think that she's trying to intentionally be a fucking prick to me. She intentionally just doesn't want to listen
I didn't
to me.
say that.
Okay, you're missing the point, Brian. The point is that both of you guys assume each other's thoughts and feelings.
I wasn't assuming anything, ma'am. She walked away with a shitty attitude, and I told her to come back.
Okay.
It's the action
I'm
that
talking about
matters,
the conversation and how you displayed the information to myself, Snow, and McLean. And the thing is that you guys have both done that thing.
I see. So what you're saying is when we're having conversations with others, we shouldn't speculate as to where their mindset was when... Okay. So that wasn't said here in this room.
Yeah.
Okay. That now that makes a lot more sense.
I mean, it's not, it's just... assuming things of people and what people... assuming their thoughts.
I've been so confused this entire conversation
behind anything. It's just going to spell disaster for yourself. And it's going to spell disaster for her.
I'm with you 100%. I see what you're saying now, ma'am. The reason I've been lost this entire time is because I was under the impression we were talking about this conversation here and not the one previous to that.
No, like I said, the conversation that you had with us in the car.
Right.
Which was way before all of this.
Yeah.
And trust me, like I do the same. I get myself caught up in the same thing. Like someone does something dumb, and I'm just like, man, this person's probably fucking loves eating paint chips, fucking moron. Which isn't fair and not very constructive at all. But there's people I don't give the benefit of the doubt.
Was there anything that I did wrong down at when I tried to correct her down in the room? Because that's the focus of this conversation, is it not?
No, that's not the only focus, but it's a piece of it. I would say if you wanted to have a conversation with her as far as giving her constructive feedback, then that should be just the two of you guys, and it should be after everything else is done. That's
right.
That's the only feedback that I would have.
Crossing over Zephyr Freeway now, continuing
Snow, unless you have something else.
Take it to the right, San Andreas, westbound.
608.
I am the wrong person to ask about
Alright.
feelings like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Snow, we already know. God.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't. Listen. Never mind.
No, go ahead.
No.
Please.
I don't really give a fuck about feelings. If you
Okay.
fuck up, you fuck up. It is what it is. And
Okay, well then
you know,
don't sit here and tell me that you feel disrespected.
that's important.
If you don't have
because
feelings, then you can't be disrespected, right?
No, because no, I disagree completely.
Okay, so do you feel like you're being disrespected? The way that
No, because-
Vale
no,
talks to
because
you and how
one-
she walks away from you.
Okay,
and,
no, because
and
one's
the
the
way she
clear
changed her
indicators
tone
that
and
people can
inflection in her voice.
pick up on. I think where I'm sort of like drawing the line is my whole perception of this is, you know, someone's feelings were hurt over a corrective behavior, and we
Yes.
should the side effect of that is let's coddle instead of, you know, try to get it resolved.
Do you think this is coddling?
I think so to a degree, yes.
I'm coddling by forcing you guys to have a conversation and work out your shit.
I don't think there was that much shit to work out, to be honest.
Okay,
I
I'm
did
not
that
measuring.
once.
It's not a measure of how much shit. It's not coddling when there's two people that have a miscommunication and they have both.
Yeah.
And there is enough of an issue for you guys to bring it up to other people. And I offered an opportunity of a mediary. It's not coddling.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, listen, me and Bass, look, we had that. You know what I mean? In
No,
this
I don't know what
case,
you're talking about. Can you elaborate?
yeah, Bass and I, I'm trying to bring up an example where, you know, you'd be familiar with the circumstances, but let's just say, that's been,
660 same traffic LSSO.
this was, it's hard for me to buy into there being some sort of, it's hard for me to buy into this due to the fact of how much I've been assisting these individuals. The measures, the long measures I've gone to help them. And due to one incident, this being identified as a particular problem, it doesn't seem logical, quite frankly.
Okay, like we
No,
already said, this isn't even a big deal. We're just
Yeah.
working our way through it.
Yeah.
Brian, I want to know, who am I being overly protective of here?
My impression of that conversation was I think Vale's gonna walk away with this as she was in the right. And
You're assuming her thoughts
yes,
right now.
100%. I've been there.
Okay.
I've been on duty with her, ma'am.
Then let her go think that, and then she's
Yeah.
going to act on those thoughts, and then she's going to get clapped. Because here's the thing, we've had this conversation, she had an opportunity to bring up her thoughts and feelings, and if she didn't want to, then she didn't want to.
That's what I want to
It's
hear.
hard
I just
to
want things
really
to get better, Copper.
Care
That's
and
it.
give a shit after I've already given people a platform to talk and speak about their thoughts and
You're
feelings.
actually alive? I thought you were dead.
All right.
I want to know
Put
who
down
you
my
think
head,
I'm
yeah.
coddling.
You look at it.
I thought you had a
Maybe
hand.
you're not, ma'am. Maybe I'm
Bass
jumping to
did this.
conclusions.
Yeah, you are.
No,
Yep.
we've lost them.
See, I often ask others to do
Yeah,
these
for what?
mediation meetings now. The
Yeah.
last time I did one,
Yeah,
the
they're
officer
kind of
died the next
awkward.
day. So,
Yeah.
no, it's not that. I mean, he died. So,
Bruh!
Because here's... Okay, so
I feel like
there's this situation.
the problem
and like
is
I
like
touched
this
on it
is so
before, Snow
deep.
and I
I'm
have our
just
own
like
thoughts and
not
opinions.
interested.
I try to maintain
Is the reality.
a force from the tree's perspective of what's going on. Is that this kind
I'm
of
just not
conversation
interested.
where if
I'm
people are
not.
being
I'm-
disrespectful to each other, they need to be the person who they're being disrespectful to, or if other people see it, you need to be direct with them. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, you're right about that.
Because at that point, there's not an excuse moving forward.
Yeah.
And I don't like, and I've seen it happen so many times in this police department where everybody has a problem with the same thing, but nobody wants to go and talk about it and just get it over with. Or specifically,
Fair
if
enough.
there's a singular problem with one person or a set of people, that conversation just needs to happen, because at the end of the day, if a person is gonna continue walking the earth being completely ignorant of all of these issues that everybody has with them, there's no fucking excuse later. Did we ever communicate to this person that we had a problem with them? No. Then that's our fault. So, since the topic has been addressed, where there is a behavior and a pattern with that behavior of someone showing disrespect or being curt with people or turning the situation where, you know, a higher up says something and using as that as
The
some
thing
kind
is,
of,
this
like,
conversation's
weapon
been muddied
against
from
another
the
person, just
beginning,
so that
but
they don't
Copper
have to
doesn't
deal with
see
that
that.
person.
It's the problem.
Because this has already been addressed, if it continues on, then there's not an excuse.
Nobody served their warrant.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They're still on the warrant page.
Refresh your...
Yeah, I understand.
They've all been served on my end. We might have to log back in.
Oh, right, that's me problem. Okay, apologies.
What's the status of the 80?
All right, I'm gonna get back on duty. Thank
Okay.
you, man. I appreciate your time.
All good.
Dude, I was like half listening to this. That conversation was so muddied. There was nothing gained from that conversation, whatsoever. But there's no point in having that debate since it's about feelings.
Is that him?
Hey,
Fucking loiterers. Hey, apparently that bald-headed dude needs to talk to you.
which one?
He's a fucking idiot.
Bald-headed guy.
Yeah, not me. The other bald-headed.
Getting rid of you. I've had enough of you, Mexico.
Hey, what the hell? Why? Just relax.
How can I help you, sir?
No, he's walking away, right? Brian, do you have a minute?
Oh yeah, sorry. That guy wanted to talk to me.
Yeah, I know, but he's also making criminal threats against Dr. Corti, so I don't know. Just a quick heads up. I got approached by William Thatch earlier to talk about Raphael, and he said he needs to speak to Raphael before you speak to him. I don't know what that is about, but it's just something I want to let you know.
William Thatch.
Yeah, he's a psychiatrist.
Oh, yeah. I got to talk to him. He's the one speaking with Raphael, right?
Exactly, yeah. And he said I should tell you that he needs to speak to Raphael before he's gonna let Raphael speak to you.
All right. Beautiful. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Also, I don't think you had time yet to look at the report. I just want to give you one thing. I spoke to another CO, and he said that Gregory Stonefinger reached out to speak to Raphael.
Really? Okay. Beautiful.
But everything else is in the report. I added like 4 pages. Once you have time. No hurries.
Will do.
So, are you going in to talk to that guy? Brian,
Oh, what was that?
were you going in to talk to that guy?
I got to take care of something first. I'll be right back, though.
If you do
Yeah.